Awesome. So we're going to get started. There are more people pouring in, but in the interest of time, so thank you for joining me. Firstly, I'd like to say hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'm Anne Phey, and this is the first of the month of May, where every day I will be sharing leadership tips from boss from heaven and hell. And you can see the two pictures behind. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And firstly, this is for Life Coach University on its Pay It Forward platform. And Pay It Forward means that if you find that by watching this video, or if you're watching this replay later and you find that it's beneficial or you're learning something, please pay it forward in any way that you want to. You can do something nice for someone, buy a coffee, pay a compliment, make someone's day. So this is how we do it. So this is my gift back to the community for the month of May. So today we'll be sharing some interesting stories about myself. So over the next 31 days, it'll be really exciting because we're going to touch on various parts of leadership. So being the first day, happy Labor Day on 1st of May. I should be wearing blue, but I decided to wear red because that was how I wore. So if you look at these two pictures, which do you think was the boss from hell and which do you think was the boss from heaven? Have a look. You can put into the chat which one you think I was. And why do I want to choose to become a leadership coach? And a leadership coach, it's really about working with each one of us so that we can be a better leader. So what is a leader? So a leader is you, wherever you are. You don't need to have a job title of a manager, a director, a boss to be a leader, because we are all leaders in our communities, whether you're in your family, your circle of friends, your community, or even at a workplace. You're a leader because you choose. On my left, thank you, Jerry. You choose to support people. A leader is someone who empowers another person. So if you're going to be empowering somebody else, then you are a leader. So we're going to cover various aspects of leadership and team. And again, team could be your family members or community members. So over 31 days, I'm going to cut it into 3 different parts, right? The first part is really talking about the skills of a leader. The second part is really going to talk about the soft part, like the attitude, what is that iffy thing called culture. And the third part, we're going to talk about yourself. How are you going to evolve as a person? And when you put the 3 parts together, it's really going to make you a really impactful leader, right? So before we get started, as I was mentioning, I'm going to tell you my story about why is Anne calling herself a leadership coach and why is she calling herself a boss from hell to heaven? So as you know, I've spent the last 30 years, hopefully I'm looking younger than that. So over the 30 years, I've been spending it working in small, medium enterprises as well as large corporations. And in the large corporations, we've got like matrix culture and all. And even for small enterprise, we all tend to have smaller teams, but we are all involved with people. We're working together. And at many points of this time, I was a manager or a team lead, and at some point, director. So regardless of the position, I was working with teams. And as a leader, I was one of those, if you were to do the psychometric test, which I can offer to you guys as well, if you can PM me later, leave it into the chat, your name and your email. I could also send you some of these psychometric tests, because the start of the psychometric test is firstly a point of awareness about who we are, right? Sometimes we don't know who we are. We take personality tests and all that. But one of the things that was really revealing about me was I am someone that they call a hyperachiever, right? And so since I started my career, my manager said, Anne, you're quite a perfectionist, like you always want things to be like the best, and you make sure that there are no mistakes, and like everything has to be perfect before it goes out. And through my life, I said, okay, I know that if I'm going to be so perfect, then the expectations of myself is going to be transferred to the team members. So I've been trying to be, less perfect with the team, taking a step back and all that. But what I didn't realize was that even as I stepped back, the fact that I was like a hyperachiever meant that the team realized that I was always looking at, um, producing an excellent piece of work. And the work that I was expecting wasn't just excellent. I was expecting the team members to win awards, to be headhunted, to be the best in the team and the best team among the whole company or the division. And I thought that that was being empowering for the team, because like, who doesn't want to be promoted? Who doesn't want to be headhunted? And isn't it a proud moment when you win an award? And I did all this for the team, not realizing that, hey, sometimes it could be a little bit much for the team. And who can identify with that? How many of you have had bosses or team leaders that are like that? Oh my God, like you really have to be the best of the best. And it was with the purest intention. I was not nasty, I was not sarcastic, neither was I mean. I was really friendly, supportive, I party with them, I buy them food, we go out. But then there was still this standard that was there. And it was just one of the telling signs, that somehow I didn't realize that I had unconsciously created this whole environment of perfect culture, until one of my teammates, give out a shout out to Rina in case she sees this video. She was someone who no holds bar, like, she would tell you as it is. And don't you love people who tell you as it is? Because that is honesty at work. So she said one day, and you're a boss from hell, but then everyone in the team went silent. It was during like the team kind of like lunch thing, and everyone said, "Shit, this is like pardon my word, this is a career limiting move. Like, how dare you tell your boss she's from hell?" So there was dead silence. And she said, but then she is now a boss from heaven. Then everybody kind of like sighed, had a sigh of relief. But I was like totally joking and laughing over it, because I mean, there wasn't that fear among the team, but they were like, like, what do you say that? And she said, "You're from hell because I hate you. Like, every time I spent like 2 weeks and weekends working on this Excel, which is like a macro spreadsheet for our analytics work." And then she'll say, "Oh my God," you come and peep over my shoulder and say, this is, you must have missed a formula here. This doesn't, match that. So maybe you might want to look at it. She's like, "Oh my God, I really hate you, because like, how could you spot in a few seconds something that I spent like 2 weeks looking at?" And the other thing she said was, "Yeah, and then like, we're still here, but you're already off somewhere else. Like, we're still at step 1 or 2, but you're already at step 10 or 11." And I realized, like, oh my God, it is quite scary for people to have someone like me, even though I was just saying like, hey, just like, okay, this is where you could just tweak it and you'll be fine. And that started me on a search on, why did you say that I was from hell, and how did I become a boss from heaven? And I asked her, "Hey, Rina, but you followed me from a department to another department, right? So what made the difference?" He said, because take a guess. And then everyone else in the team will say, "Oh, because Anne decided to meditate, so she's calmer." Possible. Somebody else said, "Oh, because Anne doesn't like expect us to come into the office, because she expects us to do our work, so I don't have to see her face. And even if during lunchtime I'm shopping online for clothes, so long as I deliver my work, she doesn't mind." Okay, that's another point about being a boss from heaven. And then what else? Somebody else said, because she's going to this mindfulness thing where she is reflecting before she talks, she is speaking slower, and which is really, getting everyone to go and breathe and be calm. So there's less stress, because we do get a lot of stress from our stakeholders. And someone else said, maybe because she's promoting us. And okay, that's definitely a benefit. And then guess what Rena said? It's because now you let us become who we are, and to really get us to think about what we want in our career and our life. And it wasn't just about creating work that was great, it was about making us great. So that was a huge realization for me, because it wasn't just about my perfect or fast thinking brain, or 1,000 kilometers ahead of everyone, which I thought was making me the boss from hell. It was just a simple switch between which side is the hell, the task to the person. So I was originally focused on the task. So you see the word think, that was from my previous company, think, using the mind. Where are we with things? How are we getting ahead? Have you checked through all the logistics to make sure that it's fail proof? Have we considered all these factors from people, process, budgets, timeliness, engaging our stakeholders? This is all brain. So as a boss from hell, I was thinking about getting the work done. People are efficient, they're having a great career, they are being paid, they're getting promoted. And that switch to the person, look at that face, so different. It's about nature and nurturing. So it was about focusing on the people. Like if I was looking at my teammate and saying that, hey, I understand where you are coming from, and your nature is someone who is more contemplative. You don't run at 1,000 miles per hour, but you like to think through things before giving me a response, and that you may prefer to write your thoughts in a different way. It's your style of communication, the way that you are. I started to pay attention to allow them to be comfortable, right? And I also started to look at, hey, have you thought about how others are communicating, the way that they're being, and how, as a team, would we want to build the way that we want to work together? So it wasn't really about this is the most efficient way to run the team meetings, but it's like, okay, we got this task, we got this project. How would you guys want to do it? Like, would you, everybody come in, you share your ideas, and even the quiet ones get to think about it and come in and say, okay, everybody contributes, and they run the project as they would like to. It's not about the head of the scope of the project, but it's rather like, okay, we like to meet together, and we also like to have our own freedom to develop stuff. And that became a team culture where everyone's voice was heard, and we recognized one another's special characteristics. We had a guy in a team called Calvin. We call him Uncle for seniority and age, but he was also had a different pace from the team. It's like, imagine you're in an orchestra, right? And someone's going like boom, 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 boom. Whereas you've got the flute going, and you've got the violin going, da, 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 da. And everyone's just got a different rhythm and pace. Some are faster, some goes up, some go down, and some are just rather slow, steady pace, because they are the rhythm of the team. And when we started looking at, okay, Uncle Kelvin was slow, steady, calm. And then you had Rena, who was like, da 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 da. And you had Eileen, who was like, yes, but then let's look at it. And then she'll, when she says something, it's very serious, like, and then back up, right? And then with Deepika was like, huh, da 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 da, talk to the team, engage, come, quiet, to hold. talk to the team, and then being quiet. And we had Carmen who was like, hey, let's do it this way. Come on, let's together. Let's go. Boom. Okay. Boom. Right? Teaming, and pulling the things together. So we had like 20 over people, and imagine just like an orchestra with a huge symphony of everyone with different rhythms, different pace, and different way of doing things. Can you imagine if we allowed everyone to have that special characteristic of being themselves and coming together? How beautiful is that? And that was when the whole team dynamics changed. And something had changed within me that allowed for that to happen. So what do you think it is? You can type in the chat. What do you think happened that caused the change? Wow, it is actually two things. And some of the team members got it right. One was really about meditation and mindfulness, because mindfulness is really about being present where we are and being able to observe and be aware, firstly, of ourselves, how we are thinking, what are our emotions, and the state of our being. And by being able to step out of who we are, we look back in and say, okay, you're not being really calm there. Or that's really affecting you and you're pretty angry because someone did something that they shouldn't have and it's not of the highest integrity. What would you do about it? So it creates that ability to step aside, recognizing the thoughts, emotions, and response. So by the time that you've processed that and be aware about what's going on, you have already left behind all the things and all the things that may not contribute if you were to open your mouth to a better outcome, right? So that mindfulness also allowed me to observe somebody else, and things become a lot more introspective. It became a lot more compassionate and more kind and well-paced to the person that's receiving it. So that was the first thing. The second thing that happened was, guess what? Yes, it is coaching. That's why I've become that's why I become a coach. So as a coach, we come from the perspective of the other person, right? So as a manager who learned to coach, I start to understand and to hear and observe the other person. And it's all about empowering them, helping the other person to understand their strengths and to see their blind spot, and through a very thoughtful and creative way, be able to help them to find their solutions, that they will be able to know what is it that they want to do with the issues they're facing. So with coaching, it became really beautiful because everyone became the highest and the best potential of who they are. And that was such a beautiful thing. So that was what made me the boss from heaven. So that was a very beautiful realization. And that is why many years after this team, and we're still in touch because, colleagues to friends, and many of them are doing very well in their career in their respective areas. Now I am a full-time coach, and I also train coaches towards International Coaching Federation certification. So it's a beautiful pay it forward for myself. And that's why today I'm getting started on the topic of leadership tips. So with this story, I hope it inspires you to look at yourself. What are the areas that you could shift from the head, being the boss from hell, or the way that we do things that may not be really fully embodied, from the task moving to the person, right? So if this is helpful for you and you find that there is something you can shift for yourself, do drop me a note on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or Facebook, so that we can all share and celebrate how we are becoming better versions of ourselves. So with that, I'm happy to stay on for any questions. Otherwise, if you think that this is helpful and useful and interesting, please pay it forward. As I mentioned, this is with Life Coach University on its paid forward platform. So do share this video when it comes out on replay and let your friends know about it. So thank you for joining, and I'm open for questions if you'd like to stay on. And all right, wonderful. Thanks, Geraldine. I'm glad you found it helpful. Yes, hell is on this side. You got it right. And thanks, Deanne, for being so positive. Sorry if my hair was a little disturbing in terms of the audio. I hope that it was useful for you. And thank you, Sheila, for joining. And I know I have a huge, huge group of friends, Pika, and also all my positive intelligence pod folks for joining and getting me to do this. I want to shout out to Diana and Jackson for getting me onto this platform. It's so beautiful to pay it forward, and it's about receiving graciously and also to give with a lot of joy and compassion. All right. So with that, we'll see you tomorrow at the same time for a short 20 minutes. See you soon. Bye. Oh, I still have a lot of questions. Okay, from Jackson, how else to ensure great performance in the team without being boss from hell? Okay, so I'll answer it live. So ensuring great performance is about coming from the other side. What is the person's strength that they can leverage so that they can be better at the performance, and also understanding where their weaknesses is all about. So without being a boss from hell, coming from the heaven side is to use coaching and to use the human aspects. That's great. And I also saw another question. I never saw myself as a leader before, but now that you say it, I can see how I am a leader in so many different areas in my life, leading my family, leading my community, and even leading certain friendship. Yes, that is so great. Thank you for your sharing. Definitely, we are all leaders, but the leader is not about a title these days. A leader is really about whether we can stand forward and to support people and to bring them to a better place. Lovely. And I've got another question. What advice do you have for young employees with bosses from hell? Especially if their boss is not as great as me, as you. Nah. So it's not about, okay, everyone is great. We should celebrate everybody's greatness of who they are. And if the boss is still stuck in hell, which means that as I was, it's usually about a lack of awareness. So if there's a lack of awareness, there are a couple of ways. One is to get everybody to take a psychometric or personality test. The other way is to really do what we call feed forward, which I'll share a little bit more in one of the future sessions, where we get everyone to really start to build a trust to be able to share more openly. And for young employees, sometimes we feel that, oh, we don't want to voice out because the boss is more senior. Is it career limiting? And we don't want to say it. We can always ask somebody else who might be neutral that can help us to be the voice. That's another way. Great question. Loving it. There's another question. There are many things we need to be aware of based on what you share as a boss. Do we even have time to do that, especially with pressure from management? Yes, that engine called keeping the revenue coming in and cost low and making sure we get top performance from every employee is a constant pressure if you're working in the corporate or the business. And for a boss, I always see myself as a boss being sandwiched, right, between what management wants and what the team can deliver. So a good boss is someone who is able to buffer. For example, a story for another day as well. if a boss that's really, really nasty and sometimes, being foul mouthed and all that, as a boss will filter it because I wouldn't give that same attitude to my team. So as a boss, we do filter, and we also look at how the team is performing, and we also feedback back through the management so that we ensure that the management team is aware about the good things about the team, how the team is progressing. And in some ways, that would really help to mitigate and bring the team together. Another advice would really be to get the team to network. Because when you network, again, it's forming the relationship, which is on the boss from hell side, where you're really learning to understand someone. And a lot of times when you get to know someone, you realize, hey, it's not as bad as I think, and you start to build the friendship and the compassion and be a lot more open. Yeah. Wow, I'm so sorry. I should have seen all these questions earlier. What about, okay, another question here. What about when you get scared to delegate because you know you can do it better? Interesting question. Well, some of us love delegating, while some do struggle with delegating. Um, we are obviously promoted to bosses and leaders sometimes at a workplace because we're so good at our technical skills, right? And that's why when we manage teams, sometimes we would feel that, hey, we can do it better and faster, right? And it's easier to do it than explaining to the team and waiting for them to come up to speed. But if that is our attitude, then the team will never get the opportunity to come up to speed. So give them the chance. And even if it takes a little longer, this is part of us giving back. And I always say givers gain. Because as we give and we nourish and we encourage and we train, and as they get better, they are more independent, they're more confident, and they're able to do the job better. Then, as a manager, we can move on to do other things. And the scare to delegate probably comes from a mentality where, hey, what if this teammate becomes so good that I'm no longer needed? But we'll always be needed somewhere else. I always say that when we innovate and we create or we move forward, we will keep doing that. And we will evolve as well. As the team moves up, we will also move up, because if the team doesn't move up, then we'll always be stuck where we are. So the fear, let's face it and say it's okay, because I want the best for the team, and I will be blessed because givers gain. I will get opportunities for myself to move up as well. Awesome. And wow, these are really great questions. I'm so grateful that you guys are really taking this on well. Another question was, your staff was so brave to tell. Yes, Wiener is one of those like, it's okay, I'll tell it as it is. I'm very blessed to have someone like that. The question is, how can someone tell the boss if they're scared of losing their job? Well, not everybody's going to be like Rena. There are a lot of employees who are afraid to say anything. And in one of the future sessions, I'll actually show you a really nice analogy about what employees actually do. A lot of times, an employee who's unhappy or a teammate, they actually don't voice it. And the next thing you will hear from them is, I'm going to resign. And you get a resignation letter. And when you get a resignation letter, it means that they've had it, they're out. So what happens between that point of them being unhappy to the resignation letter? They've basically been bottling it up inside. So it is exactly as you say, they might be scared to say. So as a leader, what can we do to have that level of openness so that they can tell us, whether it's in a group or one-to-one, and they know that they are okay to talk to you? So that's a really good point there. And that will be covered in week two of May. So come and join us for that session. Awesome. And yay, this is the last but just as awesome question. What if, as a leader, you focus on the human aspect, but then the productivity goes down? what does the boss do then? This is real as well. This is most managers fear. Like, if I'm too nice to my staff, will they take advantage of me? Or maybe they'll slack off and they might do something else. Let me give you an example. If you were to take on a job and you're gonna, okay, so by nature you do the job well, right? Whether you have a great boss or not a great boss, you produce at a certain level. But have you seen or maybe known someone in your life that because you like someone so much, or that they have been really going out of the way to help you, that you say that it's not my job, but I'm going to do something for this person? This is when someone goes the extra mile. So what makes someone go the extra mile? This is the X factor, right? Which is the human aspect. Now, if we're able to get someone who want to go the extra mile for us, not that we are expecting it, right? But if someone does that, that means that you have really hit the jackpot in building that human aspect. So if we could actually touch on the human aspect, the productivity by right shouldn't even go down. In fact, it will soar through the roof. And that is what I have observed with leaders that I have coached, and even in my own team. And they will start to help one another out. Like, if someone in the team is struggling, they say, come, let's do it together. And this team that I had, when I took over the team, 90% of them wanted to resign. But by the time we, and they were not respected by the greater marketing community. Every time they go into the marketing board meeting, they were shot down. But by the time the team got together and evolved with the human aspect coming in, the team created one of the most roaring, successful cross-brand, product line, and both the principal and partner ecosystems project that the company has ever seen. It was the first, the best, the largest, and the most impactful, that brought in like 3 times the business. So this is proof to you that working on the human aspect will actually get your productivity way up. And remember, at that point, I had already moved from hell to heaven. So this is a real case, and I'll share a lot more about these stories with you guys over May. And keep coming back. I'm really so excited. Thank you for your questions. I didn't realize I had to look at the Q&A, but I'm so blessed to be here. So remember, think about how you could evolve to, and pay it forward. Help somebody else become better. Buy coffee, whatever that makes you happy, that you can help someone. Please go ahead and do it. Thank you for being on Pay It Forward. And this is Anne Phey, Leadership Coach, signing off.